Good morning. So in this tutorial on historiography, introduction to historiography, let me start with the question on causation is always multiple and multi-layered, owing to the manner in which different areas of human experience constantly impinge on one another. All right. So what this question is talking about is the issue of causation in history. So you need to understand what causation is. So causation in history is used, historians usually explain events in terms of cause and effects. So causation implies the analysis of historical reality or historical event through the instrumentality of the causes and the effects. So historical events doesn't just happen by accident. So that is a question of accident in history. You must have heard that in some of your lectures. Historical events do not just occur in a vacuum. Things do not just happen no accidentally in history. So it is believed that events occur as a result of certain causes and effects reverberating, which probably led to the occurrence of a historical account. So that's why historians usually explain events, in terms of the causes and effects. So they, however, disagree, on what constitutes the actual cause of an event most times. So historians do not believe that one way leads to the market. For instance, historical discipline is like a marketplace. One way does not lead to it. Unlike the social sciences or the natural sciences, maybe let's say in biology, for instance, or in physics, where they use certain experiments or models or formulas to determine the cause of a particular event. For instance, if there is a volcanic eruption somewhere, like the one we saw on the news at Ibadan recently, if there was an eruption, a blast, so researchers in geology, for instance, or in archaeology, will tend to investigate the major cause. So, using experiments, using models, or in case using formulas, as it is done in mathematics and even all the natural sciences disciplines. But in historical discipline, historians does not look at formula. Historical reconstruction transcend the boundaries of models, of experiments, or one road leads to the market. Do you understand? So there is no the question of monocausality. Monocausality, that is only one explanation is used to account for an event, is not acceptable in history. That is exactly what this question is talking about. Causation is always multiple and multi-layered, owing to the manner in which different areas of human experience constantly impinge on one another. That means that because human beings do not behave the same way, so their reactions, their disposition, and their attitudes, regarding a particular historical event differs. All right. So one individual will respond particularly to a particular reaction, in a way different from how 200 people will respond to that event. So that is why it is historical reconstruction cannot be programmed as it is even either in the social sciences, in sociology, where they can attribute the behavior of a particular set of people, to certainty. For instance, in sociology, they could, in trying to understand the reason why certain people behave, certain ways. So what they could do is do random selecting. Random selecting. Okay, you pick 50 people from Mbise in eastern Nigeria, and you try to say that, okay, because one person reacted this way to a particular event, all right, or another, the second person reacted this. So in social sciences, in sociology, for instance, through random selection, or phenomena, they could discern and make conclusions, all right, about certain reality. But in history, no, because of the usual question of causation, causes and effects, because historical events do not happen by accident, and historical because history deals with human behaviors, and human beings do not behave the same way. So for the historians, trying to rather selecting one or two from the randomly from a group of 50 to be able to see how people in NBC behaves the same way, a historian will rather itemize, will study, will evaluate the character of each personality, variantly, not just saying that one suit fits all. So that is the issue of causation. So historians believe that two the same event can happen in the same day simultaneously. But unlike the social sciences, who argue that the cause of one event in Shomolu is the same cause of the event in Bariga. So historians do not believe that. So there are causes and effects. So they are not there are causes and effects to historical reality or events. So several questions can be asked also. For instance, how is the cause of an event different from the frameable conditions or circumstance that sets the stage for that event to take place. So because reality in the society are not programmed. All right, so it is not possible for historians to make conclusions to say that certain conditions that actually propelled something in one location led to the other. For instance, if there was an outburst somewhere, maybe a public disturbance somewhere, a sociologist would probably conclude, for instance, that the outburst, public outburst or disturbance in a particular location was stimulated by some scrupulous elements who could be termed terrorists. Maybe because look at what happened during the NSAS. So the sociologists could come to say that no, these people who are terrorists, the people who organized, masterminded the NSAS movement, had political undertone. They were trying to overthrow the government. So they just look at, okay, what is the agitation? They want to create a state where there is no law, where there is no police, where there is no SARS. But a historian, it is not in the place of the historian to make certain conclusion. So historians will rather select or identify all the variables, such as all the agents, the question of agency in historical interpretation, all the people involved in this historical experience, select them and evaluate each on its own merit. All right. So why did you embark on public disturbance? So you could be deciphered through some of those various interrogations that these people could be patriots. There could be people who are trying to defend the virtues of the democracy, in the hands of police or political officials who perhaps were trying to undermine the system. So historical events are very, very flexible. They are very. That is the reason why to answer if I was to answer this question, the first way I will start is to say history is a dynamic phenomenon. It deals with changes and continuity. So it's very dynamic in the sense that historical events are not similar as it is in other subjects or disciplines where variables are almost could almost have produce the same results. So with the same variable in historical research will provide or produce various interpretations. So the question of interpretation. So the same if a historian is given the same subject, to analyze a particular historical event, for instance, so each of those historians are going to give various interpretations to those historical events. So the issue of monocausality, no one way, to the answer doesn't fit, in historical interpretation. That means that historical reconstruction is based on effect. So the effect that a particular event generates in one place is not the same, as what it would induce to propel in another place. So that is exactly what. So individual experience, historians, experience and interpretation, will probably determine the outcome, of his analysis in his historical research. So I hope you understand what this question is all about. This is simply about the dynamism of historical interpretation, the flexibility of historical. So historical conclusions cannot be reached, using experiments, using models, using theories. That's exactly, the summary. So there are causes and effects to any historical reality. So you cannot say because a particular event had occurred in a particular place at a time, due to so reason. So the next thing when you are interrogating the same as it is done in biology, they only just import the model, the formulas, the experiments, to regurgitate the same results. In historical reconstruction or interpretation, it is not the same. All right. So because history deals with human behavior in a particular social, political, and cultural context, so historians bring to bear all these various psychological, cultural, political, economic factors, variables in interpreting the way people behave certain way, or the ways in which the reason why events occur in no particular way. There is no monocausality, in historical interpretation. Do you understand? So this is, I've just tried to summarize, what this question is all about. Many historians have argued that without the concept of causation, for instance, it will be very, very impracticable for historical reconstruction to be done objectively, although there is nothing as such as objectivity. So there is, however, a problem with how to know what actually caused an event, because it is important. Historian studies effects. For instance, if someone uh, walking beside you, maybe you are in a box, for instance, and someone, you suddenly just reacted in a way, probably slapped someone, maybe a male or an opposite sex in the box, maybe in the BRT, to the next person, it is the what you have just seen is the effect. No, you just slap someone. So someone will think, "Oh, are you normal? Is anything wrong with you?" Right? Without knowing the causes, the underlying causes. Perhaps maybe while in the bus, the person had matched your leg the first time. Nobody saw that. That was not visible to the public, to the spectator. So maybe the second time the person tried to pick your pocket, nobody saw that. All right, and maybe at the third time the person tried to harass you, whichever way, which is not palatable to you, and what you did was to react in a certain manner. So these are, historians, reconstructing this will have to understand the causes. What are the things, underlining, interactions between you and the person, rather than looking at the effects. For instance, that you just slap the person. So a natural sciences, a social scientist, for instance, will probably subject you to some psychiatric evaluation. So, no, is she normal? Why would she just normal slap someone? So in criminal, so an expert in criminology will say, maybe you are trying, someone in gender will think that maybe you just want to harass the opposite sex and all that, without understanding the multifaceted interactions between both of you. That is obvious. So historians, rather than looking at the facial effect, the superficial effect of that event, will want to investigate to understand the major causes, not causes, of those. So that is how the question. So they look at the problem more root deeply. All right, because as I've mentioned, No, historians look beyond the question of accident, the concept of accident. There is nothing as no historical accident. No, in history, events do not happen by accident. So most of them, their events are orchestrated, they are masterminded. So historians deeply and carefully observe and evaluate all of these materials, to be able to arrive at a very objective or not a relative objective conclusion. Okay, so that is an important point that you have to note in understanding, in interpreting this question. That causation, the issue of the question is about causation, so which is multi-layered and it is multiple. It is based on the dynamics of human experiences, right? Because humans do not behave the same way. So historians go deeper to look at the causes of event. That is why when you're writing, so what as a historian, what you do is to first highlight the causes, to identify the causes, the way, the reasons that certain issues manifested, and these are some of the critical points that has to be noted.